Welcome students to the refresher course in biomedical content writing. This is the part 2 of the first session which we have completed, where we have learned about the qualities of a good biomedical content writing. And those are the 6 qualities we have learned, and how we have also seen the examples, how those qualities are involved in your writing, and how it affects your content. This is the second part of the same session. Here we will just go through the orientation of about the biomedical writing. So this session will tell you about how the biomedical content writing uh, works, and what it includes actually. So you will learn in this session 6 things. One is that what exactly we cover under biomedical content writing. 3 reasons you write as a biomedical content writer, and what are the types of content that you are going to develop as a biomedical content writer. And then comes the Aristotle's rhetoric triangle for writing, which is very good applicable to the life sciences or the biomedical writing. Then we come to the what components of biomedical content writing you will learn in this course, and what major gain objectives you will achieve through this course. So how this course is going to benefit you, that you are going to also learn in this session. So this is the part 2 of the first session of the first day. So when we talk about biomedical content writing, it includes actually any form of writing or a content development activity that is related to life sciences, biological sciences, medicine, or paramedical branches of science. They are considered under the biomedical content writing. This includes the writing for any kind of a audience, not just it includes the research writers or only the academic papers. It can be for the newspapers, for the magazines, for any kind of a platform, even the digital platform, blogging, medical blogging is there. Then you write for the social media. All those are covered. And what are the basic principles lie behind the biomedical content or development, that you will be studying in this course. And your audience could be the experts, professionals, scientists, nurses, general public, patients, media, patient groups, or researchers, scholarly writers, promoters, marketers, bloggers, subject enthusiasts. Whoever wants to get involved somewhere in the medical sciences will be the part of this comes under the part of this biomedical content writing. Then comes, here we discuss what are the 3 major reasons why you write. Whenever you write a content, there must be some purpose behind that. Writing for the sake of writing is actually never a good writing. If you're writing something, there must be some purpose behind that. And actually you want the target audience to do something after writing, after reading what you have written. So why you write, there are 3 major reasons. One is to persuade. You want the reader to take some action after they read your content. Second is to inform. That is, readers to have the information and use it for their benefit. Maybe your patients should read the information and then take the steps in their life to improve their life, or you want your juniors to read the content and follow that content to get benefited in their profession. Or the third thing is that you want the readers to get engaged, readers to get entertained and engaged in your subject and promote it, because engagement is required not just to entertain yourself, but also make it a point that they are spreading the word to the others, so that masses become involved and engaged in that particular topic. So these are the 3 reasons why you write as a biomedical content writer. One is persuade, second is inform, and third is engage. And before starting any document, the first thing you have to decide is for what exactly you are writing your content. Do you want to persuade or tell somebody to do something? And if they are doing the same thing, what you expect them to do after your reading, then that means that your content or your writing is successful. If you want to inform somebody and people are getting informed, people are feeling that they got the information which they intended, that shows that you have informed or your writing is doing what it meant to do. Third is engage. Engage means more people are reading about the topic which you found them to read, and they are spreading the word of mouth through your writing. That shows that your writing is successful. So it is these actions or these outcomes will define whether your writing is working um, or not as per the desired goal or the objective which you have designed for your writing. Next comes, these are the types of writing in biomedical profession. You can see the entire spectrum is there. Starting on the left side, if we go to the regulatory writing, and on the right side we have the medical marketing writing, and this entire spectrum actually includes the entire biomedical writing. But here we are not going to cover, in this course we are not going to cover the entire range, because if we talk about regulatory writing, these are very technical documents. We are used by very niche organizations, even the contract research organizations or the pharmaceutical companies, where they develop the summary documents for regulatory submissions, CSRs, PSURs, protocols, IBs, value dossiers, case narratives. All these documents are more of the technical side, and they involve the specialized training, which is actually not included in this particular course. Then we comes to the answering the regulatory inquiries, which is again a very specific uh, area where you need to have the knowledge of the legal aspects of medicine. Then comes the general regulatory support to the existing market product. Then comes the systematic review and the peer review manuscript, if you see in the center. Then comes the conference abstracts and posters. Then slide kits, of course we will be dealing with that part, that how to develop the slide and what are the characteristics of good slides, and about the book chapter. And then the teaching material for the physicians or for your audience, maybe they are nurses or the paramedicals or your students, or maybe the patient groups. Then comes the teaching material for the sales reps. Sales reps means you want to explain to the people who are going to sell your medical product, and how they should be taught about the medical, how you have to develop the content for them, so that they can, as a non-medical, they can understand what you want to say. Then comes the newsletters and patient material, where you develop the material for the patients, which is a very important area, because uh, in healthcare industry, patients need to be educated regularly, and a lot of things depend upon how much information or the correct information is lying with the patient. Then comes the medical journalism, where you write the stories for the newspapers, magazines, which also comes under the development of biomedical writing. Then comes the PR and the brand development, and that is also for the branding purpose, but that involves a lot of writing part. And how you are going to write all these things, there is no one formula by which you can put your words and it will suddenly become a kind of a content suited to what you intend to make it for. So the basics of writing, which are applicable to all these areas, remain same. Although if you go to the medical marketing writing, starting from the systematic review to the peer review manuscripts, towards the right where we see the medical journalism and PR and brand development, we'll be mostly covering these aspects of biomedical writing in this course. So next comes the Aristotle's rhetorical triangle. We all know that Aristotle was one of the famous writers who has written so much of literature related to the medical science, to health sciences, and various other philosophies also he has discussed. So this is one of the models which is known by the term Aristotle's rhetoric triangle for writing. And this is very much applicable to when we write for health sciences or the medical sciences or the life sciences. This model becomes much relevant. And if you remember the basics of this model, it will help you out in developing content, in developing, in knowing that what kind of a content or what kind of a things you can include in your writing, and what are the things you have to avoid while writing for the any kind of a biomedical subject. So if you see this triangle, there are three parts in this. One is logos at the top, which stands for the logic or the reason or the proof. Uh, and this means that whenever you are writing for the biomedical subject, it must have a logic, it must have a reason, and it must have the evidence or the proof of what you are writing. You cannot write just your own opinions without any evidence when you are dealing with the or writing for the biomedical subjects. So what are the main techniques for the same is like start structure of the speech, like how you are going to structure and how you are going to put forward your points. Second is the references to the studies, statistics you are using, case studies you are referring to. All these adds logic, reason, and the proof to what you are claiming in your writing. Whether you are writing for the newspaper, whether you are writing for the manuscript or the case studies, all these things are applicable because you are dealing with the science when you are writing for biomedical sciences, and you cannot just throw your content without knowing that from where they are taken or what kind of proof you have to justify your claim. Third comes the comparison and the analogies and metaphors. Comparisons means somewhere you are comparing one patient with the other, or you are comparing one drug with the other, or you are creating the story where you are comparing the two different methods of conducting the same experiment. And then comes the analogies. If you are doing your experiment in analogy with some other field, that also can be included, but that has to be justified, and you have to see where the relation between the two things exist, and you have to explain accordingly. Then comes the metaphors. Metaphors means you in the similar manner, whatever you are explaining in the similar manner, how the same thing can happen in the other areas of life. If you can correlate those, that becomes the metaphor. We will be discussing this in detail in the coming sessions as well. Then comes the second corner of this triangle, that is the ethos, that is credibility and the trust. Because as a biomedical writer, it is very important that you have to establish your credibility and trust in front of your reader. Because if your reader is not having trust with you, then there is no point of writing the best content, whatever you are writing, because you're talking about science, and science is mainly based on the logic or the reason or the proofs. So second thing is that in ethos, we mainly use the techniques like personal branding. Whatever is your own qualification when you write for something, you should be qualified to talk about that thing, maybe through your education, through your experience or any other thing, but that personal brand as a person to talk, that is important to establish the credibility in front of your readers. Second is that your confidence in delivery, whatever you are delivering to the audience, it must have, you must have the confidence that whatever you are sharing, you know that stuff, you have used that stuff, you have the experience in that. That will add definitely to the audience's trust on what you have written. Third thing comes the cites credible sources. Whenever you are citing somewhere, if you are citing, if your citations are from the credible sources, that also adds trust to what you are writing. So it is generally suggested that when you start writing as in the field of biomedical or the medical writing, then you must first use the citations from the credible sources. Just do not give your own opinions or your own findings from the very beginning. In the beginning, you must use the good citations. Then gradually you can turn from the other citations to your own opinions in those citations, so that the people will start trusting you, because now you are a learned authority in that particular subject. Third thing comes is about the pathos, which is the emotions and the values. And the main techniques to develop that is how emotionally you engage your reader with your content. That is through telling them the stories, or using the inspirational quotes, or you're making your language based on what, how they understand or how they get inspired uh, through your writing. So these are the three components: logic, reason, and proof, which comes under logos. Then the ethos, that is the credibility and the trust you establish when you take the sources to make your writing. And third thing is the pathos, which is the emotions and the values you add through your storytelling or the inspirational quotations, or by changing your language, which is suited to the reader's requirement. So this is how the rhetorics triangle works. And you must remember this model to develop your skills in writing for the life sciences or the biomedical subjects. Next, we go to, see, in this course, to cover this entire rhetorical triangle, which is given by Aristotle, to cover all these three aspects, we are going to learn about the components of writing in this course. One is the writing components, second is the interaction of those components, and third is the contextual application of those components. When we talk about writing components, we have the words, because the words are the basic components from which you develop your writing. Those words, they combine together to form the sentences, which are again one of the important components of the writing. Then comes the paragraphs, because you combine those sentences and form the paragraphs, and from one paragraph to other you change your ideas, and those change in ideas provide the architectural model to your writing. So words, sentences, paragraphs, and architectural models, these are the four components which we are going to discuss in this course. How to use the words, how to select the words, how to remove the words, how to create the sentences, which are the effective sentences, which are not effective sentences, what can be done in the sentences. Although all these things you may have learned in your school times, but we are not going to discuss that exact grammar part or the rules which we have learned in school. Here, the more important thing is that nobody is going to give marks or the grades to your writing. It's more of how much they understand through your writing. So the rules used in biomedical writing are not the same as you write the answers for your university exams. So understanding that and realizing its importance, we will learn all these four components. Then we come to the interaction of these components. Now you know the words, the correct sentences, the paragraphs, and all the architectural models, how these content is related to each other. Then we come to the interaction part, how these words, sentences, paragraphs are going to interact with each other. Are they focused on one idea? Are they united together? Is one paragraph making sense with the other paragraph? How these paragraphs should be arranged? How much they are coherent? Whether they are tying together a single idea or not? Then comes the clarity, which is one of the qualities of the biomedical writing. Then comes the concision part. Concision means, are we able to remove all those things which are distracting my reader? If you're not able to remove that, that means you are going to consume more time of your reader, which the reader will never like. So these interaction components we are going to study, and how we can improve these components in the writing, that we are going to talk about. Third thing comes is the contextual application of writing, which includes the majorly six things we have covered in this particular course. One is the reflective writing. Reflective writing, you can see that it is one of the forms of writing where mostly used by the medical professionals to find out their own practice, to self-introspect and to learn from what they have done wrong and how they can improve in the coming time, or in the next whenever they perform the same action second time or the third time, how they can improve upon that. Then comes the news stories, how you can write for the newspapers or the news stories. Then the medical blogging, which is one of the main digital platforms nowadays where people write about the subject, and there are various medical blogs are available. Then there comes the brochures. If you are developing a kind of a brochure for any product or the medical technology, what are the components or what are the things you need to check to make a good brochure. Then comes the case studies. These case studies can be helpful to your peers. They can be helpful to your customers. They can be helpful to your patients, to make them aware, to give them knowledge, to inspire them to do something. All these things will be covered in this case studies. Then comes the articles and the short stories. These short stories can be helpful to inspire or to change the behavior or of your patients, or to develop your team and to give knowledge, or to persuade them to follow certain guidelines which are important for your subject. So writing components, then interaction of these components, and then the contextual applications of these components or we are going to cover in this entire course. So this is the overview of how you are going to learn, what are the things you are going to learn in this course. Then now we come to, there are three terms we have identified, and I would like to share with you, which are important to learn as a writer. First is the text, second thing is the writing, and third is the content. These three terms are mostly interchangeably used by various, you can see in the articles or the experts, even they use these three terms. Now, what is the difference between a text and the writing and the content? You have to, we need to understand before starting to develop the content, why we are not saying just the biomedical writing, why we are saying the biomedical content writing. What is the difference and why we need to know this difference? This is most important thing before starting our learning into the journey of biomedical content development. So first thing is the text. That is, the text is mostly have the personal context. When you write a text, it has a personal context. It has no grammar. It has no rule. It is a personal use, and there is no public exposure. Whenever you are texting your friend on WhatsApp and you are writing, how are you? There is no need of checking the spellings. You just throw your text and you know that the reader will understand it, whether your spelling is correct or not, whether you are using the right grammar or not. Text is going to be interpreted as it is, because two people are talking to each other personally and there is no kind of a public exposure. So as far as you are understood, you are correct. In text, there is no kind of a checking or no kind of a policing that whether you're writing correct or not. This is mostly done when you are doing the informal chat, maybe on the WhatsApp, maybe on your phone, maybe the messaging. All those things comes under the text. Second comes the writing part, which is most of the academic context. Means as far as you are getting the good grades, you are correct. When you're writing something and you are getting checked and you are getting good grades, that is more of the academic context. Writing is mostly done, when we say the word writing, we are mostly talking about that we are writing to get checked whether we are correct or not. It must include the formal grammar part. It must include the strict rules. What are the rules we are taught in the grammar or in the syntax or in style? And then comes to get the grades. Writing is done to get the grades, and no one reads or evaluates except your teacher. Whenever you are writing, your teacher is going to read it, but nobody else, because they are not going to find any meaning, or they are not paid to read what you are writing. So as far as you are getting the good grades, you are correct while you are writing things which you have done in your college or the school always. Then third thing comes is the content. When we say about the content, we have the targeted context. Targeted context means that we are neither writing for our teachers, nor we are talking personal. We are actually talking to a particular targeted audience. Those audience are well defined. Those audience you know well. You want to give message to that audience only, and you know their level of knowledge. You know that how they are going to use your document or the writing. That becomes the content development. Second is the flexible and purposeful grammar. Here, the grammar rules are not what you have learned in your academics. In content, your grammar is also flexible and purposeful. Means you can change some rules, you can modify the rules based on understanding or the maturity level of your audience. Then comes the self-designed rules. You have a style guide, you develop that style guide and you write according to that. There is no need to follow the guidelines made by others, because it's your document, your content, your audience. So you can decide your own rules, you can design new rules, and you can follow those rules. And you can definitely, you have to disclose those rules to your readers so that they know before reading your writing that what and how you are going to present to them, to get read and react as per the writer's objective. The major difference between the academic context writing and the content is that the reader must react as per the writer's objective. If you're writing to get people, if you're writing an article on hand washing and you want people to wash hands, if they are washing, if they have started washing the hands, at least some percentage of the readers, that means the objective of your writing is clear. If the people are doing what you want them to do, that means your objective is met through your writing. If the reader is not getting moved on to follow the actions, to get persuaded, or to learn what you want them to learn, then your writing of content is not up to mark and you need improvement. Of course, it is a lifelong journey that nobody is going to follow what you have written 100%, but at least to certain extent, to some of the audience, if your audience is well defined, at least some percentage is going to take action what you tell them through your content to do. Then comes the everyone targeted reads or leaves an action or response evaluates whatever you have written. If people are reacting or taking action or how they're responding, you can evaluate those things and then you can judge or you can measure the success of your content. It means when we talk about the content, it is till you don't get desired response or the action from our target reader, you are incorrect. Now, if the one message through all these three you want to get, that is in text, as far as you are understood, you are correct. In writing, as far as you are getting the good grades, you are correct. But in content, till you don't get the desired response or the action from a target reader, you are incorrect. So this is the basic difference between these three terms. As a biomedical content writer, you must understand and develop your skills accordingly. You can see in this slide, text, as far as you are understood, you are correct. Writing, as far as you are getting the good grades, you are correct. And content, till you don't get desired response or action from a target reader, you are incorrect. Now, what we are going to gain by learning to write or develop the biomedical content. So these are the three. As a writer, it's your job not just to write, but also to understand what the others are writing and how you are going to evaluate that. So these three are the main objectives you are going to gain through this course. And first one is you will be able to read critically any kind of a biomedical content. When you are reading, you are not reading as a lay person. When you read, you must be able to read critically that whether the content is giving the intended message or not. That is the first skill as a writer you must have. Second thing is you will be able to write biomedical content as per the need of the target audience. You will be able to identify who are your target audience and for whom you are writing, and you have to design or you have to develop your writing or the content based on their needs. And you will be able to evaluate any piece of biomedical writing and gain ability to make it better. Whenever you will find any kind of a writing on the life sciences or the biomedical subjects, you'll be able to evaluate whether that writing is actually making sense or not, what are the gaps in that writing, and how you can fix those gaps in your writing. These are the three main objectives you are going to fulfill through this course. First is read critically, then write content as per the target audience. Third is to evaluate any kind of a biomedical writing and how you can make it better. These are the three objectives you're going to gain through this course. With this, we are over with the second part and the first session of day one, and we will be coming up with the next session, and we will move further to learn the components of writing. Thank you so much.